Let's build a better Earth. Hi, I am Myles Thomas. I think that we need to help save our Earth. I will be talking about pollution and how it affects us, and even more how it affects low-income, indigenous, and people of color communities. Air pollution is everywhere, but is that a problem? Yes, it is. Air pollution can lead to heart attacks, strokes, and some studies have shown it can lead to dementia. But this can't happen to me, right? Wrong. The World Health Organization estimates that 7 million people die from pollution every year. 4 million more die from pollution yearly than COVID. And to further prove my point, the World Health Organization studies show that 9 out of 10 people breathe air with high numbers of pollutants. The 7 most polluted states are California, Pennsylvania, Texas, Washington, Oregon, and Alaska as of October 16, 2019. How pollution disproportionately affects indigenous and low-income people. More than 90% of air pollution-related deaths occur in low-income regions, like parts of America and Europe. In poor communities, landfills, pipelines, and toxic waste facilities, which are big polluters, are being forced upon indigenous peoples. Indigenous people are being forced to live within only 6 miles from abandoned mines. Contaminants flow through the water, soil, air, and air. So the people are being forced to drink contaminated water and breathe contaminated air. How would you like to get sick just drinking water? Indigenous people have higher risk of cancer, asthma, and without proper treatment, they can die. How would you like to get asthma or wake up hoping you don't have cancer? The fashion industry. Fashion is getting cheaper, but that all comes at the cost of the environment. The fashion industry produces 10% of all carbon emissions and is the second largest water consumer. It is pretty obvious that flying in a plane or driving a car to work is bad for the environment. But did you know clothing is bad for the environment too? On average, people buy 60% more garment items than in 2000. The fashion industry produces 10% of the world's carbon emissions, dries up water, and pollutes streams and rivers. 85% of textiles end up in the dump every year. And when you wash some types of clothes, it sends thousands of tiny bits of plastics into the ocean. Clothing production has roughly doubled since 2000. Even though people bought 60% more garments, they kept them for half as long. Lots of this clothing ends up in the dump. The equivalent of one garbage truck full of clothes is dumped or burned every second. In total, up to 85% of textiles go to the landfill each year. That is enough to fill the Sydney Harbour every year. Washing clothes releases 500,000 tons of microplastics into the ocean every year. That's the equivalent to 50 billion plastic bottles. Many of the fibers are polyester, a plastic found in an estimated 60% of all clothes. Producing polyester releases 2 to 3 times more carbon emissions than cotton, and polyester does not break down in the ocean. A 2017 report from the International Union for Conservative Nature estimated that 35% of all microplastics, very small pieces of plastic that never biodegrade, in the ocean came from laundering of synthetic textiles like polyester. Overall, microplastics are estimated to compose up to 31% of the ocean's plastic pollution. The fashion industry is responsible for 10% of the world's carbon emissions. That's more carbon emissions than flights and maritime shipping combined. If the fashion industry continues on its current trajectory, the carbon budget could jump by 26% by 2050, according to a 2017 report from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. The fashion industry is also the second largest water consumer. The fashion industry is also the second largest water consumer. It takes 700 gallons of water to make 1 carton soy. That's enough water to drink at least 8 cups of water for 3.5 years. It takes 2,000 gallons of water to make a pair of jeans. That's more than enough water to drink 8 cups of water every day for 10 years. That's because the jeans and shorts is made from cotton, which takes a lot of water. And Uzbekistan, for example, cotton farming used up so much water from the Aral Sea that it dried up after about 50 years. It was once one of the world's largest lakes. Now it's just a desert and a few ponds. Fashion can cause pollution too. Textile dyeing is the world's second largest polluter, since the water is often dumped into ditches, streams, or rivers. The dyeing process uses enough water to fill 2 million Olympic-sized swimming pools each year. All in all, the fashion industry is responsible for 20% of all industrial water pollution worldwide. Some apparel companies have started to change these trends by cutting back on textiles and growing cotton more sustainably. In March of 2019, the UN launched the Alliance for Sustainable Fashion, which will coordinate the efforts across agencies to make the industry less harmful. Okay, I think you get the point. Now, before you have a panic attack, you should know there are a handful of things you can do to help. Recycling. Recycle your recyclable goods. Composting. Make a compost pile outside. Voting. Vote for a president or mayor or governor that will help stop pollution. Don't ride in cars if you don't have to, and order from sustainable brands. Credit. 1. These facts show how unsustainable the fashion industry is, by Morgan McFall Johnson, January 31st, 2020. If you have any questions, I will be responding to all comments for at least a day. I will also periodically look at the comments, so promise I'll answer your comments if you have any questions. Bye.